Selamat datang pada materi Basis Data Lanjut tentang writing explicit cursor. Objective: distinguish between an implicit and an explicit cursor, discuss when and why to use an explicit cursor, use a PL SQL record variable, and write a cursor for loop. About cursor: every SQL statement executed by theoretical server has individual cursor associated with it. Implicit cursor is declared for all DML and PL SQL select statement, while explicit cursor is declared and named by the programmer. This is the example of explicit cursor function, and this is the process of controlling explicit cursor. First is create a named SQL area, identify the active set, load the current row into variables, and test for existing row, return to fetch if row are found, and release the active set. Controlling the explicit cursor is first open the cursor, second fetch a row, third close the cursor. Declaring the cursor, the syntax is shown at the picture. Do not include the into clause in the cursor declaration. If processing row in a specific sequence is required, use the order by clause in the query. The example is shown by the picture. Opening the cursor, the syntax is shown in the picture. Open the cursor to execute the query and identify the active set. If the query returns no rows, no exception is raised. Use cursor attribute to test the outcome after fetching data from the cursor. Syntax is shown by the picture. Retrieve the current row values into variables. Include the same number of variables. Match each variable to correspond to the columns positionally. Test to see whether the cursor contains row. Closing the cursor. Close the cursor after completing the processing of the rows. Reopen the cursor if required. Do not attempt to fetch data from a cursor after it has been closed. Explicit cursor attribute. Obtain status information about a cursor. The attribute is open, not found, and row count. The isOpen attribute. Fetch rows only when the cursor is open. Use the isOpen cursor attribute before performing a fetch to test whether the cursor is open. Controlling multiple fetches. Process several rows from an explicit cursor using a loop. Fetch a row each iteration. Use explicit cursor attributes to test the success of each fetch. The not found and the row count attributes. The row count cursor attribute to retrieve an exact number of rows. Cursor and record. Process the rows of the active set by fetching values into PL SQL record. Cursor for loops. The cursor for loop is a shortcut to process explicit cursors. Implicit open, fetch, exit, and close occur. The record is implicitly declared. Print a list of the employees who work for the sales department is shown by the picture. Cursor for loop using subqueries. No need to declare the cursor, as shown by the picture. Sekian tutorial kali ini. Terima kasih.